These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Thursday, March 9th, the day after the Celtics took down the Portland Trail Blazers, snapping their 3-game losing streak. About time they got back in the win column. But right now, before we talk about the Celtics, we're playing ball this Sunday, right? We're balling.
Believe so.
The thing. All right. Well,
will I be playing? That is to be seen. Injury
Are you gonna
report
go?
says questionable.
You should go regardless, but
I might go. It depends.
I have a reputation to uphold now.
This is true.
Last time, I mean, if you listen to the pod on a regular basis, you know, last time I was Game 7 Grant Williams. I was Stephen Curry, making 1 million 3-pointers. And I am determined to continue that. At least a little bit, right? Like, I at least want to make a few shots, because before that I airballed everything. Like, you can attest, I could not make a shot.
I don't think you were that bad. We play with some people that are not very good, so it's not the best like measuring stick.
I'll put it this way: the shots I made were like, they seemed lucky though. Like, I would bank some in, I would stuff like, but like 2 weeks ago, the last time we played, everything was like swish, everything was falling. So I am looking forward to attempting to continue that this Sunday. And like I said, I better not be the last pick in the draft again. I was heated when I was like a bottom 4 pick last time around.
My draft stock should just plummet.
Yeah, you got the bum knee now.
Derrick Rose.
Yeah, oh, poor Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose, who has been in the league for a long time despite having knee injuries.
Yeah,
like he got drafted in 2008, so this is 15 seasons. Yeah, that's a long time. That's pretty impressive.
He brought it back. It's impressive, like, how he revamped his career. Like, obviously those first few years after the knees injury, I feel like they were looked down upon more so. Like, he was still good, but he wasn't the same player, and so people like thought he was worse than he was. And then he had that 1 year in like Cleveland and stuff, but like his 2 years in Minnesota, he averaged 18. He averaged 18 in Detroit. He averaged 15 a couple years ago with the Pistons and Knicks. Even last year with the Knicks, 2021-22, he didn't play much, but he shot efficiently. And so he's kind of fallen out of favor in the rotation now. He's not great on defense. He's stepped slow, so he's not really playing for the Knicks. But yeah, he's played well ever since the injury. It's just everyone was like comparing him to the player he once was. So it kind of sucks. But
what a crazy career that was. Drafted by your hometown team, win MVP, youngest ever. And then you just get the knee injuries. You could say very similar to me, essentially drafted by my hometown, the news station in Providence, intern, came up, right? Worked my way up, made TV, the MVP, right? Got to do TV, pretty cool, super cool in the morning. Then essentially no longer there. And now I have knee problems. So it's not fun. Knee problems, it's like the funniest thing ever. It's like someone's playing a joke on me.
Sure.
So I'm good like 90% of the time. And then as soon as I want to do something like I want to do physically, it's like, no. You want to run? No. You want to play basketball? No. You got to sit there.
Your knee hates you.
It
doesn't
does.
like you, man. It disagrees.
You know what I hate is holding doors for people.
I've seen you bring this up on Twitter a lot over the past few days.
Yeah. I really think we need to stop doing that, like, as a society. Because it just creates too many uncomfortable situations. You're like, what happened to me today was I was walking into work and there were two people somewhat behind me, like kind of close, and they were having a conversation. They were closer than the standard, like, I'm not holding the door, that person's too far away, but they weren't close enough to where I felt obligated, so I just don't do it. When in doubt, I no longer do it. I'm out on holding the door. And don't do it for me. Don't hold the door for me. Because I don't want to do the jog. I don't want to have to like make conversation with you. I just want to, I can open the door. You can open the door.
Well, it doesn't have to be a conversation. Just hold the door. You say, yeah.
I don't want to do the jog. I don't want to do the jog. I don't want to make somebody else do the jog. I hate the jog. You don't know. Maybe somebody you hold the door for is dealing with crippling knee pain. You don't know.
Well, then
they have to do a jog.
They don't jog.
I could set myself back weeks because I jogged for you.
If I'm holding the door, I don't expect the jog. I'm just doing it to be nice. Like, right?
I'm just not holding the door.
Well,
I'm a big consideration person. When I'm in peak shape and I'm running, if there is a car that's about like coming out of a side street, you go around the back of the car. There are people
mhm,
that like try and encourage you to go in front of them instead of going around their car,
yeah,
and you can't do that. You know why? Because it's easy for
fair.
me to change direction. The driver cannot change direction. They have to wait for me. No, you just go
Sure.
around. Make it easy on everybody else. Everybody
No, I
plays by
understand.
the rules. Things go a lot better. You start having the conflicting, how far away should I hold the door for this person? What's polite, what's not? If we just kind of all decide no more door holding unless like you're with the person, then I can get behind that.
Mhm. The
But
worst for me is exiting
go on.
out of it's a car thing. Exiting out of like when you're waiting for someone to exit out of like a parking lot or something, like I'm turning left, right? I'm on a very busy street and I'm turning left, and someone out of the
Yes.
parking lot is also turning left. And so, but there's enough space on the side of me that cars are passing me as I'm waiting to turn
Yes.
left, like they're speeding by, right? And so I see a gap on both sides. I wave the person to go. It was clean, it was smooth. He
Mhm.
went, we waved, did the wave, whatever, fine. The car behind that person started leaking out to try
Oh
to go.
no.
I got so mad. I looked at them. I said, "It's not your turn. This is turns we do here." All right. I got mad at them, and like that's the worst for me. People that don't know how to drive. Like I understand the confusing thing of like a
You know who's the worst?
yeah.
The people that stop to let somebody out.
What do you
If
mean?
you're like if you say you're driving down your main road and somebody's like looking to get out of a parking lot like that,
Mhm.
if you weren't turning and you stopped, you're the problem. If you stop to try and let somebody go like that, that's problematic. You
I
can't
do that
do that.
occasionally,
Oh,
but
that's bad.
only if there's no one behind me and they've been waiting for a while and they're
If
already
there's
like
no one
looking
behind you,
halfway
that's
out.
even more of a reason not
Well,
to
no,
stop because there's no
no,
one behind you.
it's a read thing, right? If I'm far enough away where they're already like inching out a little bit, I'll just slow down and say, just continue.
You
You're
can
already like
slow
halfway
down,
leaking out. Yeah.
but if there's no one behind you, they should not be inching out.
Or if it's like a long, gap thing, right? And there's just far enough a gap in between me and the car behind me, and there's also like a million cars behind me. Fuck the cars behind me. I'll just let them out at this point,
Oh,
right?
rat,
I don't care.
tech. You
No,
should
no.
get a ticket
Well,
for that.
for what?
For what? You're stopping the traffic. You're stopping the flow of traffic.
If I'm close enough to where the person is pulling out, obviously I'm not gonna like bring my car to a halt. But if it's like an awkward distance and I see there's hella car behind me, right? I will like instead of like speeding ahead and almost like risking them like thinking they have enough time and going, I'll just like slow down a little and do the wave. It's fine.
You should not come to a complete stop. Never.
Sure. No,
Can't
no,
do
I don't.
that.
No
Another
complete
thing,
stops.
big low key rat move. People that use the lights to come out of side streets. You know what I'm saying? There's a main road, then there's some side streets that have the lights to get out. Kind of a rat move when you use that, and then everybody has to stop to let you out. Especially if you turn
Mhm.
right. That should be a ticket. You turn right at a stoplight like that, and
We
it
have one
turns
at
green.
Stonehill College. There shouldn't be a light, but people coming out of the college have a light just for them, and everyone else has to stop to let them out.
I
Sucks.
contend that all lights like that should be yellows after or before a certain hour. When the
Sure, I
road's
can
not
get the time
busy,
thing.
nobody should have to stop. It should be a read thing.
I agree. I can get you with the time thing. I can agree with
That's
that.
bad.
My other thing is, and this kind of is similar to the one I was talking about,
Mm.
when you're at like, so in my town, there's this really busy, weird intersection, right? So like I don't even know how to describe it. So there's like 3 stop signs, right? There's
We need a
one,
diagram. This
yeah,
is like
right.
driver's ed with the fellas.
I'd have to like break open Microsoft Paint, but like there's 3. So the typical like 4-way intersection, right? You think of that.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
obviously not a perfect like T shape, but like
Mm.
think of it as if there are 3 with stop signs and then 1 has no stop sign. 1 gets to go. So one road
Mm.
gets to go across, they could go
Kind
across,
of strange.
they could bear right, they could bear left, whatever. Right? Let me Google Earth it. Let me just
I'm very anti-stop sign, but
Mhm.
if you're gonna have 3, you might as well have the 4th.
Exactly. Well, the issue is this one road is significantly more busy than the other. So like I think it's also stupid. Now, they also changed it recently. So that one road that doesn't have stop signs now has speed bumps on the road, slowing them down. So it gives people enough time on from the other 3 stop signs to sort of like they can go through, they can go one way, they can go the other, right? So the speed bumps sort of serve their purpose. They're frustrating when you're on that one road, but like speed bumps in general are annoying.
Out
But
on
like
speed
they have it.
bumps.
Yeah.
Gotta get rid of speed bumps.
Yeah. So,
Bad.
anyways,
Altogether bad.
my issue is when I was first learning how to drive, or when I was first driving, I would mess up the intersection because it's fucking confusing, right? Like
Right.
why there are 3 stop signs? Don't I have a right away? No, you don't. And people just come speeding down that road. Whatever. The bigger problem is when I'm looking to go a direction. My house, like to go most places in the town, I have to go to that intersection because my house is like towards one side of it. And I will actively go different ways, like sometimes to avoid that intersection because it's annoying.
Right.
But in order to get one place, I have to come down one way and then turn down the busy street. The issue is when I see an opening and then one car goes, go my turn, and then someone else leaks out behind the other car. Right? The leakers, worst. Those are the worst humans. You're the worst people. I'm sorry. Right? And there's a time and a place to do it. Right? There is a time and a place to do it. If you are coming off a side street onto a main road and you have enough time, right, and there's no one else coming, like, fine, you can leak out, right? If you have enough time to keep going with traffic, that's fine, right? If you are turning left on a yellow and everyone else is stopping, probably not legal, but that you can be a leaker there, right? You can follow behind the car in front of you, you can leak behind. If you are leaking out behind somebody at a stop sign at like a busy intersection, or someone lets somebody else out and you take that as, oh, he'll let me out too, rat, worst human.
Rat, I agree.
D grade, F grade, awful. F tier. You're the worst.
I think we need, as a society, to worry less about speeding and more about etiquette. Like, stop giving out speeding tickets, more
Etiquette
tickets for being dumb.
Sure. I agree with that. And I mean, this is a good segue because speaking of being dumb, the Celtics decided to stop being dumb. They stopped being dumb.
I know.
Now, I will contend, and I have this written on the show, and we can jump into it. The Celtics still took dumb shots. They still took their fair share. The difference is Jason Tatum just happened to make his dumb shots this one, right?
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and act like they didn't play better. Of course they played better, right? Like they looked better. They were able to hold the lead fine. Jason Tatum was still chucking the same threes he was chucking against the Knicks. And I tweeted it out. If Jason Tatum took and made the threes that he took against the Blazers, because he still took them against all the other teams, Celtics probably would have gone 3-1, 2-2 over the 4-game stretch, whatever. Right? So it's still not ideal, but they won the game. They broke the losing streak. They were ahead on the road with the win, which is, I mean, just generally good for morale. There aren't really many complaints you can have from that Blazers game. We have like stuff to talk about, but like outside of the Jason Tatum thing, taking the dumb shots, which again, he took them in all the other games. The only difference between the win and the loss was he made them in one game, missed them in the other.
He made him when it didn't matter.
Sure.
Up a million, he starts hitting sidestep threes. How about when it's close?
Right. Yeah.
Like, it sure would have been nice to have like a couple threes going against the Knicks.
What a different game.
You know?
We're talking a different game. Yeah. No, for sure. But yeah, good win. I mean, just a generally close to a wire as you can get. Yeah.
It was almost at the point where I was like half rooting against him because I really wanted to see how mad people would get.
I want to see the narrative.
If they lost that game yesterday, this would be an emergency, like, sound the alarms podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We would be saying Tatum's washed. 25-year-old Tatum, he's past his prime. We would be saying Mazzulla out, which you still might have to with some of the things he said yesterday. Interesting comments from Mazzulla yesterday.
I have
Mazzulla, who does not like the media.
No, he does not. Not a fan.
Interesting take from Mazzulla yesterday.
Do you want to just go right to that? I mean, you're talking about it. Let's talk.
He's Mazzulla, like dancing around, like earning a tech for that one.
Yeah. Now, I'll play devil's advocate a little bit. Let me read the quote first.
Yeah.
We're talking about shot selection or whatever, and Mazzulla goes, I always had a question about, like, when we shoot a lot of threes and miss, everyone asks me questions, but when we shoot a lot of layups and miss, nobody says anything. Just because you're closer to the basket doesn't mean it's easier to score. Now, let me interject. It absolutely means it's easier to score, Joe, because you can look at the percentages, and it is objectively easier to score.
You know how I know it's easier to score is because I could probably do it. Now, I'm not known for my layup making ability. I'm more of actually a jump shooter. It's funny that I say this, but I mean, listen, you put me underneath there, I'm probably making an open one.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Now, the part I will, and I don't completely agree with it because it's still like a weird like thing to say. Like, the media does tend to focus on missed threes more than missed other shots, right? And you don't have to miss layups. Like the Celtics missed an egregious amount of layups against the Trailblazers.
They did.
Malcolm Brogdon
was a
was
challenge.
awful, right? It was struggling. Like, I think the big difference is like the narrative behind each of the shots, which at this point I feel like we should get away from, right? Like, not to like get deep into it, but like a big reason I feel like a lot of people focus on you missed a bunch of threes is because it's still like tacky to take a bunch of threes for some reason. Like in some people's minds, like even you, like you don't like when the Celtics take
I don't
a
like
bunch
when
of
they take a
threes,
million
right?
threes.
And I feel like that's a big reason why people focus on the missed threes. Meanwhile, layups have always been a thing. That's like the preferred shot, which again, like because you're fucking 2 feet from the basket, of course it's gonna be easy to score. But like in today's game, like people take a bunch of threes. That is just how it is, and that's because it's an analytically sound way to play. It is the smart way to play by the numbers, right?
Can
And
you
that's
pull
very
up
much what Mazzulla likes.
the top 3-point attempt, like teams that take the most threes in the league?
Yeah.
Warriors are number 1. That I know. Celtics are 4.
Warriors, Celtics, Mavericks, Bucks, Jazz, Pacers, Kings, Knicks.
So 2 of those teams are really good. Warriors are like kind of not sure if they're good. Mavs are kind of bad. They're like on the bubble of being good. Like they can't decide if they're good either.
The Warriors too. The Warriors and the Mavericks.
That's what I
say, are
said.
the same thing. Yep.
Like Dallas 3-7 in their last 10.
Celtics and Bucks are good. Celtics and Bucks are good.
Celtics and Bucks are good. Kings are good.
Jazz and
Rest
Pacers
very mid.
Pretty mid. I will say though, at the same time, you don't see many bad teams up there. Like there's no objectively bad teams starting to stop. And even the Knicks, are 8th. The Blazers are the first, like, all right, that team kind of stinks team. And I wouldn't contend that that's a result of their 3-point shots, because after watching them, I would contend it's the fact that they don't play any defense.
Not a lot of defense in that game. No.
Whatsoever. And now, I mean, you can look at the flip side though. Let's take a look at the teams that don't that take the least amount of threes.
Miami
Bulls.
Sucks.
Miami actually
Bulls
takes the 10th most. So they're
really?
top 10.
They shouldn't be.
Yep.
They shouldn't be.
Bulls are 30th.
Terrible.
Pelicans, mid.
They can't decide if they're good or not.
Hawks, again, can't really decide. Probably bad.
Can't decide. Should be good, kind of bad.
Orlando.
They're on the come up, but right now they're bad.
Spurs.
Bad.
Nuggets are the first one you see on that list of least threes.
Very good.
Very good.
Per the standings, at least.
And that's also because they make all out of the few threes that they take. They are, in terms of percentage, second in the league. And so, I mean, an argument some people could say was, well, then take more. But I mean, it's just a matter of like
no. Don't take more.
So like, I understand what Joe was saying. Like, this is an analytically sound, excuse me, shot. Like, if anything, people should probably be asking more questions when the Celtics miss a bunch of layups, in theory, at least, right? But because of how many people look down on the fact that teams take a bunch of threes nowadays, it is more of a story when they miss them, because it's easier for people to say, well, if you just take less threes and take more of this, blah, 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 right? And so I think it's easier to generate a story out of something like that, which is why more people ask about
with
it.
the threes, it's a tough battle, because we talk about this probably every podcast, and we're like, are they taking good threes? There are good threes, and it's okay to take the good ones. And we also acknowledge that there are bad ones. And it feels like when they play poorly, they're taking more of the bad ones. Now, they do miss the good ones, which is annoying, because you're like, man, they should have made
like that. Like the first Knicks game. Like, they got a ton of good shots. They just missed. Like, that happens every once in a while.
That was just a really bad game. Like,
it just sucked. Yes.
Yeah, bad.
But, yeah.
When you take a lot of the bad threes, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yes.
And I do like, I believe it was before the game yesterday, because we talked about it on pregame. Mazzulla kind of acknowledged that bad threes do exist.
He did say
so. So I'm kind of in on that. But I'm out on the, why don't you guys complain when we miss layups? Well, it doesn't happen all that often, and people do complain when you miss layups. It's just on Twitter. Nobody's writing articles about it. It's probably good Mazzulla doesn't have Twitter. If he had Twitter, he'd probably be really mean to a lot of people.
Let me ask you this, and I would hope I know your answer. Would you rather a contested layup or an open three?
It depends who's taking the layup. It depends, and I'm not going to say it depends who's taking three. It kind of depends. Like, define like a contested layup.
Like, What do you mean? Like a contested layup, a layup where there is a body in front of you and you have to try to go around the person contesting you at the rim, or an open three.
I think that's a tough slope.
I completely disagree. Like, I think there's objectively a correct answer.
I
If
don't
you're
know.
Jalen Brown contested at the rim versus Al
Well, that
Horford
makes
open
it
in the
really
corner.
hard.
Al Horford open in the corner.
Well, Al Horford open the corner is really. I'd rather have him.
I'm not talking like putting Ben Simmons on the 3-point line. I'm
Well,
talking
no. I'm not saying Ben Simmons, but I think it's a fluid argument. I think
I
Jalen
don't.
Brown's pretty good at finishing through contact. Like, I would rather have him try and finish through contact because there's also the possibility you draw a foul.
It's just like I just disagree. I'd rather the open 3-point shot than a contested layup.
I understand the value in an open three. I don't know. That type of like discussion is really like an eye test thing, not a on paper thing.
Sure, I suppose. I suppose.
How much momentum does the guy with the ball driving to the hoop have? Is he just catching and finishing underneath contested? Is he kick like there's like a million factors in that for me. Which isn't fair to you asking the question. Like it should be easy to say open three, but I feel like if you have momentum on like a stationary defender underneath the
Well, no,
basket,
I understand what you're saying.
you
Like,
should be able to have a good chance to make the layup. Like, I'd still
Jay-
rather you take the layup, and then if you miss, there's a good chance you get a foul call, and then that puts the defense in foul trouble, adds a team foul to the total for the quarter, gets you close to the bonus. Like, there's a lot of like unwritten things that don't necessarily come up attached to that shot attempt.
there's definitely factors that go into it. Like, is it Nick Claxton at the rim, or is it Trae Young at the rim? Right? Like, obviously, you can go through a contested layup in the chest.
Well, you
of
see
Trae
Trae Young at the rim, you got to pass.
Leave Ben Simmons alone. Is
Shout
it
out
like
Ben Simmons?
Is it a small guard closing out on you, or is it like a Mikal Bridges, a bigger guy closing out on the 3-point line? Right there are factors, but like at its core, like I still feel like there's too much of a cliche around 3-point shots, right? Like, which is crazy because we live in an era of 3-point shots. And I'm not like even necessarily saying you, but like even you sitting here saying like, I hate when they take a lot of threes. And I know the extra context is like when it's bad threes, but like you see a lot of people in general just say, oh, like there's too many threes, right? Too many threes. Like there's too, like even I remember in the bubble 2 years ago, I was can't remember the exact context, but I was watching the game with my stepdad. And it was Daniel Tice on the floor, right? It was that era of Celtics. I think they were playing the Raptors. It was the playoffs. And Daniel Tice was down low. I assume like Marcus All or Serge Ibaka or somebody was guarding him. Instead of putting it up, and maybe it was like one of those things where he had a split second, and maybe he could have gone up. He kicked it out, and Jason Tatum or Jalen Brown or whoever was on the team missed a three. And at this point, like the Celtics were losing. I think it was one of the games that they lost. And we got in a huge argument and did not watch the rest of the series together because I was like, it's a three. What do you mean? Like, what's wrong with it? Daniel Tice is like, it's not like he's Joel Embiid in the paint, right? And it's a decent shooter. Like, but him growing up watching basketball, was like, what are you doing? You can't kick out a chance at a layup. So I think there's like
It's a
so much
slippery
nuance.
slope.
Sure. Like, I think there's just so much nuance in it. Like, I understand what Joe Mazzulla was asking. Is it objectively true that a layup is easier than a three? Yes. But like with how skilled players are nowadays, like, I mean, it's the perfect example, and it's like too good of an example almost because Steph Curry, but like a three is a layup for Steph Curry at times, right? Like, because that's just how much
Well,
he
that's why I said
practices
it kind of
like,
depends on the player.
and
I mean, Al Horford being open in the corner is a pretty good shot.
And as weird as this sounds, and you can disagree with it, I'm just like telling you how it is. Kids probably practice more threes than layups nowadays.
Yeah, I
Right.
do.
And exactly. And a part of that is, and you can complain about it, whatever. A part of that is because of how the league is. Like, if a kid with legitimate like chance and dreams of getting into the NBA wants a chance, the best way to do that is either be a great defender or be a great 3-point shooter, or even better, if you can do both those things, you have a spot in the NBA. Right. And the difference is, however, great defenders who can't shoot don't really have a space in the league unless they are an elite defender, like a Ben
Or they're
Simmons
really tall.
for the years. Sure. Or really tall, or like, a Rudy Gobert. And I know I just picked two players that people don't like very much, but like, you get the point. Meanwhile, you don't have to be elite at anything else if you can shoot the ball. Sam Hauser, right? Duncan Robinson for his stretch in Miami, right? And obviously, if you stop shooting the ball, well, you're
Duncan
pretty
Robinson's
useless.
such a great example because he literally gives you nothing else, so he's just not playing and getting paid a bunch of money.
Exactly, but like 3-point shots and 3-point shooting is so valuable in the league today. And it's like I said, I understand what Joe Mazzulla is saying. Like, if anything, it should be a bigger story when the Celtics miss a ton of layups and a ton of threes. But like at the same time, like their offense relies so heavily on 3-point shots that like, of course, it's going to be a story when they miss a bunch of threes.
The
Because
Celtics,
that
by the
is
way, do miss a
ingrained
ton of
game plan.
layups. Like just in general, not just yesterday.
I tweeted about it. Malcolm Brogdon has had the third most restricted area shot attempts on the team, and he shoots the worst out of everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good he gets there. Maybe just have him practice layups instead of threes.
Sure.
Because Brogdon shoots like really good from three. Like, does he really need to practice it? Maybe he needs to make layups.
Yeah.
Make him do the Mikan drill, all of them.
And I'm not sitting here saying like all the threes the Celtics get are good. They're obviously not. Celtics take the second most tightly contested threes, which means the defender within 2 to 4 feet of them.
Yeah, those are the ones people are
team.
saying, Joe, what the hell? Why is your team taking these shots? And he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, and they take 6 of those per game, shoot 31% on them. Not good. Warriors take more. The Sixers are shooting 36% on those licks, which is a bit egregious. But at the same time, wide open threes, Celtics take the 5th most. 19.5, shoot 41% on wide open threes, which is like top 5 in the league, right? So like when they're getting their threes, and as far as open threes, 4 to 6 feet, 3rd most, 16.6, shoot 36%, which I mean doesn't sound great. Again, top 7, top 8 in the league. Like they're a good 3-point shooting team when they're taking the threes they take in general, but they're an elite 3-point shooting team when they take the correct threes. And I think that's the biggest issue we've seen, especially over this 3-game losing streak. And to get even deeper into it, I don't have a problem with Jason Tatum taking the occasional pull-up three, right? Like you don't love the shot, but like if it's in the second quarter, right? It like whatever the score is, Celtics up 5, even Celtics down 5, whatever, like one possession, an isolated possession, he's good enough of a player where he deserves to take those type of shots every once in a while. The issue comes when it's 5 minutes left in the game. You know, I'll use the exact example that happened. The Knicks already made a run. You have a chance to get back into the game that you shouldn't have lost in the first place. In overtime now, and Jason Tatum's entire shot profile is above the break threes. That's all he does, right? Like
no mid-range
like
mixed in.
No, it's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I know it's more like
there still is a place in the league for the mid-range, by the way. You know why? Because it keeps the defense guessing. It makes it so they can't overcommit to either thing. Like you said, what's better, an open three or a contested layup? You can't commit to guarding either of those things as much if somebody you're guarding has a mid-range game.
Well, you can. And I mean, I'll use this as an example. Like, I was listening to JJ Redick's pod with Paul George. I don't know if you listened to it. It's good.
I have not yet.
Excuse me. And JJ was talking about the early 2010 Pacers and how they were the first team to really play like drop coverage. So like they dropped Roy Hibbert back. He'd sit in the paint, and they would just sort of give up that middle range area and have defenders behind, like going over the screen, chasing and like rear contest. And the way Paul George talked about it was like, it's a really awkward position to be in when you're coming off that screen. And like, you're not necessarily in the position where you can just pull up and shoot because you have somebody behind you, but you also can't go in for a layup because someone's in the paint guarding it. So you end up having this like weird leaner or this weird like moving floater. And like some players have gotten really good at that shot. Like Emilio Quickly, for example, filthy, right? He made a million of those against the Celtics. But like with the shots players are practicing, they're practicing threes, they're practicing layups, and like there are good mid-range shooters. I mean, DeMar DeRozan, he makes a living off of it.
Me.
Jaylen Brown's an elite mid-range shooter. You, exactly. But like, it's not only not a good shot in the sense of like analytics, but it's also like, I feel like a harder shot than people realize. And this isn't me like completely knocking it. Like, I agree there is a place for it. However, like I'll bring you to the Blazers game. I don't know if you remember this possession. First or second quarter, Al Horford got the ball on like in the mid-range
first
area,
play of the
right,
game
in front of the elbow. Was this right? And he like hesitated. He didn't take it. And I mean,
oh, he made the first play of the game. He pulled up.
No. He was mid-range and he like hesitated, right? He was like looked for a 3-point person to kick it out to. It wasn't there, and he was open for a second. And you'll be proud of me. I was like, just shoot the ball out, right? Like, because if you're open for mid-range, like nobody around you, no rear contest, no nothing coming into, like, shoot it. You're fine. Whatever. That's like, it's a fun shot. Players can make those shots. But he hesitated. He passed it out, he got it back again, and then he shot it and he missed. Right. And so I do I do think there's like a sort of hesitancy to take the mid-range shot because like as much as you want to say, oh, it's easier, like I would argue most players have an easier time making threes because that's what they practice nowadays. Right. And I think there's a place for it in the sense that like Jaylen Brown backing down to his spot, getting to the elbow, that is money because it's his spot and because he knows he can drill that, right? I'm fine with those shots because he's an elite player. If Marcus Smart or like Al Horford were to like
Marcus Smart's excellent from the mid range.
get into the like he's excellent at like the little floaters, right? He's excellent in the post. He's excellent posting up a guy, do a little turner thing. If one of them were to like get past their guy and just like take a mid-range pull-up off a screen, like
I think that makes you
those are
hard to
shots I
guard
don't
in the pick and
problem.
roll. That's part of a good pick and roll ball handler's game is pulling up off the pick.
I would rather see them drive to the rim and either A, get what we just talked about, like
Yeah,
in
we had
Tesla
the same
layup,
comment.
try to draw the foul. And if you do that and you're a good enough player and you've established yourself as a good driver, someone's going to help off and then you can kick the ball and you can create offense of that. Like I understand the mid-range in the right spot. Like I said, Jaylen Brown, guys who get the mid-range. And I absolutely think Jason Tatum
Yeah.
could stand to take more
I
shots
wish he
because
would do that more because those are easier shots to create for yourself. If
Exactly.
you're falling off your off foot, it's easier to do that from mid range where you don't have as much power on the shot compared to a 3-pointer where you're already far enough away. You really don't need to make it more difficult. That's why they give you an extra point for being that far away.
Yes, and like for stars that have established themselves that have are able to take mid-range shots like that, I get it. But like I don't think like teams in general should be taking more mid-range shots. Like I can't back you there. Like I can understand
I don't think they should run plays for it, but there's definitely a place for it. Like even if Jason Tatum takes more mid-range shots, that's more mid-range shots.
sure,
for the
no,
Celtics.
and I'll back you there. And like I said, I think the stars and I think the players like that, like if it's them getting to their spots or even if like someone chases them off the 3-point line, like them taking a step in, I'm fine with that. But like a Sam Hauser mid-range shot has no value to me, right? Like they're like
I can agree with that.
So I think there's a place for it. I just think it like I don't think like I'm ready to say in general take more mid ranges. I think there's context. Just like I think there needs to be context for what threes you're taking. Right? Like I don't think Tatum should be taking pull-ups or side steps all like
The threes
times,
you
like,
shouldn't take should be your mid-range shots. That's how I feel.
Sure. We can come to a balance.
Because there's no real place for a catch and shoot mid-range when you're
No.
open. There is a place for a created tough fall away from the mid-range because it's quite literally an easier shot than a fall away three. It's the same shot, just closer. Just like a layup is tough if there's a defender there, but it's easier because you're close. Same story. The catch and shoot shots should come from three. That's where I think the confusion lies in today's league. You just don't see enough guys trying to create for themselves in the mid-range. Instead, they might force something inside or panic and kick out too early and then get really nothing out of it. I think having that mid-range as a weapon keeps the defense guessing more.
I will also say something Joe Mazzulla said a lot earlier in the year was like, take the first open look you get because you don't know if you'll get another one. Like if you're open, take the shot. And I think people get mad at it because there's an argument of don't take a good shot, fight for a great shot. And I think there's a balance because I do agree with that in some sense, but at the same time, like I remember there was a play in the Blazers game where Derrick White got it on the wing and he had a relatively open three and he hesitated and he didn't take it. And then by the time you remember this, by the time he closed, the defender closed out, Derrick White drive and he's good at driving to the paint, but like nothing else became available on the play and it kind of just does divulge into something bad. Like take those shots, right? Like I feel like some people get frustrated like when the Celtics take the first three they get, but like if it's an open three, there is no guarantee you're going to get another one on that possession. Like you like the Celtics are a good enough 3-point shooting team where they should pull up with no hesitation and they should take those shots because that's the perfect example. You don't know if you're going to get another shot as good as that one. And if it's like, early in the shot clock, Jason Tatum sidestep with 16 seconds on the clock. Those are the issues of the early threes that we're talking about, right? But like an open catch and shoot look, I don't care if it's 20 seconds left. Take the shot, right? Like because that's a good look. And then there's also the argument of you're going to get more possessions if you take this shot sooner, right? The issue lies is when the early in the shot clock shots are objectively, like bad looks. They don't come within the flow of the offense. But like Derrick White open from behind the 3-point line, catch and shoot, Don't care when it is in the shot clock. Take the shot.
I think you should avoid early in the shot clock unless it's like that because it doesn't make the defense work. And especially when you're up big, I'm not saying when you're up big you should milk the clock as much as you can because when they do that it's poor. But you just shouldn't purposely take shots because you feel like you have a cushion. If that makes sense, because if you're sitting on a lead, just use the Nets game for an example. That Avalanche started with them chucking 3 straight threes early in the shot clock. Nets didn't have to defend, and they had a little bit more energy to get out and run in transition.
They got too comfortable, and I said this on the show, the podcast.
Yes.
I knew they were too comfortable when Jaylen Brown threw alley-oop off the backboard to Robert Williams, which had no chance of working. By the way, the defenders were way too close for him to try it. But no, I agree. I agree. I think there's like
it's just such a fine line. That's why we do this
Yeah.
and don't coach basketball.
Exactly.
You know, we just sit here and complain about what happens
And well,
out there.
I want to say this too about like making the defense work. I understand it, like wanting to make them work, but at the same time, you get down the court, you get a catch and shoot open 3, and
That's
you
fine.
You beat
That's
them to
fine.
that spot.
That's fine.
Exactly. And I'm just like giving the adverse effect. Like you make that shot, defense like deflates. Like the other like, oh shoot, we didn't get back quick enough. And I feel like that's what happened a lot to the Celtics, right? In these last few games. Like they would either like it even happened on made shots, which is a bigger issue, but like Celtics would miss a 3, they'd miss a layup, they do something, the other team gets out in transition and they hit the shot. They beat the Celtics, right? They beat them out there. The Celtics kind of go, oh, man, we messed that up. And then sometimes it was Jason Tatum saying, all right, I got to get it back. I got to get it back. And then it's like, it creates a bad cycle. But like, if you're the Celtics looking to shoot open threes, and people can complain about the threes all they want, like Celtics are at the best when they play fast. You get out there, you get a good shot in transition, even if it is 20 seconds left in the shot clock. An open 3, catch and shoot behind the line. You hit that shot, you can get back on defense, right? You can get back on defense, whatever. And even if you don't get back on defense, guys are already back there. And this isn't me like arguing for the Celtics to chuck the ball up the floor and take open threes all the time. I'm just saying like I don't have a problem with a 3 early in the shot clock if it is coming the right way, which is like I think there's something to it, which is fine.
I think if you are on the wrong end of a run and you're trying to stop the bleeding,
slow it down. Yeah, in that case,
you cannot take early threes. You can't do it
Well,
because it's a home run play, and when it goes wrong, it like almost cements that you're gonna like see an avalanche.
Even in that situation, say Al Horford was like ahead of the play, gets in the corner, open 3. I don't care. Take the shot. That is objectively a good shot no matter what it is. I'm fine with it. Because like I said, if you slow it down, right? Like I think there's an equally adverse effect to that too. Like if you slow it down, Al Horford passes up on that shot, and then the defense clamps up that possession, they're hyped up again, and it deflates you, right?
I don't like it. Not on the wrong end of a run. I get like Horford's open or whatever. You just don't try and create that shot. Wait to create it.
I'm going to argue against you. I can't remember if any of them exactly came on the fast break, but like Philly was, beating up on the Celtics. Al Horford gets open. Siri, please. Al Horford gets open. I can't remember if it was in transition. I'd like to go back and look, but hits a 3, boom, Sixers deflated. Happens again, boom, Sixers deflated. Like that is how
it's a bit different when you're behind, but when you're up, when you're trying to protect the lead, I think it's a bad idea. Behind's a little different. You're a little bit more desperate. More becomes acceptable.
I am okay, and I think this is just where we differ. Like, I understand there is some sort of timing aspect to it, and I understand the idea of slowing things down, halting a run, but like, a good shot is a good shot, I think. And that's the way I see it. And Al Horford, corner 3, I don't care when in the shot clock it takes. If Al Horford is open in the corner, talking wide open, unless there is Robert Williams, excuse me, like unless the entire, I'll use the Blazers because they played them, unless all 5 Blazers taking a nap in the half court and Robert Williams is under the hoop, that is the only situation when Al Horford shouldn't take an open 3, because I will admit an open layup is better than an open 3, because that's just math, right? That's just math, right? Like the math guy here, obviously, right? So if Robert Williams is wide open under the hoop, nobody within mile, like, Yusuf Nurkic is falling asleep, whatever, pass that ball up, give it to Rob, take the shot. Or, Joe Mazzulla could say, well, Rob's there for the rebound. If Al misses, no, that's a step too far for me. But other than that, like, I don't care when in the shot clock or what situation. If Al Horford is wide open, again, like whoever it is guarding him, Josh Hart, whatever, taking a nap, if he's open, take the shot. Just take the shot. So that's my thing, which is like,
It's tough.
anyways, we got to talk about Grant. Mr. Grant Williams.
Grant injured. Arm hurt.
Injured, yes, arm
Throwing
hurts,
up
but
shots at practice from the corner. Like nobody's business. Did you see
Yeah.
that?
No, I didn't. But convenient that the news came out the day after the free throws.
Grant,
debacle.
4 of 4 from 3. Fine. Misses 2 free throws. Injured.
And I do like we speculated about it a lot beforehand. So like it wouldn't like. I bet he actually is dealing with something. It was just a little too like he is actively like dealing with some sort of injury. It was just a little too convenient, the timing. Like bring it out like
funny.
Yeah, I agree, because it was an anonymous source, which is like, Grant, we know you're the anonymous source. Come on. But Grant Williams doesn't get in the game at all against the Blazers. Comes in the fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter.
Right.
Dude is chucking.
Does not make a lot of shots.
He does not. But I said this to who was I talking to? I think Cam Tabatabai and Jam Packard. I'd rather him do that than the pump fakes and the hesitance. I'd rather say, especially in a situation
Well,
like
that's what
that
worked
where
against
it's like,
Cleveland too.
exactly,
Just gives himself less time to think.
Exactly, and especially in a situation like that where it's like the game is won. You're
Jack and I just spent 20 minutes talking about rushing threes, and we're both in agreement that it's fine for Grant to chuck threes like that when they're up late in the game.
Up 20 with 10 minutes left, like, come on. Like
it is a funny conversation. The context is different, but
my point is
black and white what we just talked about. It's so funny that like we're like, yeah, it's cool. Like he should.
Well, it's not like any of them were
confidence back.
It's not like any of them were like terrible shots. Like he wasn't hezzy dribble. Like they were catch and shoot threes. He was just like shooting with confidence. And like I said, like I'd rather that than the hesitance. And I think it's funny because like I didn't see this on Twitter, but I bet it was somewhere. Like people are probably complaining that he's shooting so much, but then also those same people are complaining when he doesn't shoot, right? Like people are just gonna be mad.
Can't win.
No, but shot 2 of 7 from 3 in 12 minutes.
How about the man turning down $50 million?
Yeah,
tough.
4 years,
very tough. Mil. Is he getting that now?
I think he'll probably get around that. 4 years, $50 million. I think. Because
he's got a big month ahead. That's what I say.
The way we said it this summer, like I thought he was a $15 million player. 15 to 18, I think, was probably around where we're looking at. And so, like, for him to turn down, what would that be, like 12 mil, 13 mil? Like,
yeah, about that.
That's at least it's like I understand it, and I think there's also important to add context. Like the way it was described, it wasn't the way I read it. At least it wasn't Grant saying no because he didn't think it was enough money. He was saying no because they were fighting over the guarantees in the contract. So it sounds like Grant was willing to accept a deal around the 4 years, 50 to 55 mil. Like, because it said early, I think it was like low 50s, whatever. So it sounded like he was willing to accept a deal like that. But there was probably something in like the Celtics were like saying this X amount was guaranteed if you do this. And Grant was like, no, I want a little more money guaranteed in the contract that this is what I'm taking.
Well, I guess.
And so like that is what like who tweeted.
It is funny though. This is like one of those all-time collapses. It's like when Schroeder turned down the extension.
This is not the same thing. This is not even.
It's getting there. There's still time left.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing because
Twitter says it is.
Well, it's just objectively not because Grant Williams is under bird rights, so they can pay him to, like anything no matter what. The reason Schroeder didn't get that sort of money is because the money in free agency dried up and they didn't have his bird rights. He was just unrestricted. So
it could end up in a very similar. Grant doesn't make as much money.
Grant Williams is not going to make less than $10 million in his next contract. I don't think he'll make less than 12.
I think he's got a big month in playoffs ahead.
I don't care if he like. I'm not saying it's definitely going to be with the Celtics anymore, but like he's not going to make less than 12 in his next contract. I'm telling you that.
It's
like,
fair guess. Some
I think
team will throw money at him.
If I had to make a guess right now, I'd guess he makes something along the lines of, like 4 years, 56 million, right? So it'd be like, 12 in the first year, 13 and a half, 15, and then 16, something like that, right? Like in inclining, is that the right word? Inclining.
Yes.
I was about to say declining. Increasing contract through 4 years. And like I said, I'm trying to find who was it? that tweeted about the Grant Williams contract thing?
The Athletic. Probably Weiss.
I want to find it because I feel like the wording is getting taken out of context. Because it's like
the Grant defense. Let's go. Jack loading up Twitter to come to the aid of Batman.
It is being taken out of context, and I can't find it. But the way it read was like they were debating over guarantees. Like he wasn't declining that number of money, which is what people are going to like make it out as. Like
that's what I saw it as.
Money.
Not that I read it as that. That's literally what was put out there for me to read. Did you do it for heavy? Someone must have did it for heavy.
Maybe someone did it for heavy. Let me look.
Someone must have. That's like a money.
Mm-hmm.
Should have did it.
Oh man.
It's just funny. Like all this is coming out right now. Like this is like a downward spiral for Grant. February bad month. March not starting off great for him.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to root for him. Like I think it's annoying when Grant complains, but besides that, like I think he's like pretty like average, likable, like doesn't really upset me or anything. You know, he's
all the Celtics, like there's an article that came out today that said Celtics are rallying around Grant. I know Bobby asked not in the sense that like he's a pity party, but like Bobby
that's
asked
what it
Blake
sounds
Griffin.
like, and it's so fun. Like I don't know, Grant's just like such a funny character. Like when stuff goes wrong for him and like people start crapping on him, it's kind of funny.
Even Bobby said like Bobby asked Blake about it. Bobby was asking all the guys. I think Bobby wrote about it. He was asking like everyone at the pressers, and like Derrick White was like, "We love Grant. Like he's awesome. Like he's ultimate. Like always confident." Al said the same thing, and Blake Griffin I think summed it up well. He said, "Come on, man. It'll pass. He's too important to our team. We're gonna need him in the playoffs in a big way," which is like true. Very true. Like they do definitely need him. I did find it. Jared Weiss tweeted it. When the season began, Grant Williams had turned down an extension offer and was flexing his newfound ability to attack closeouts with creativity. He was in the best groove of his career, looking like a flush market was waiting for him free agency. Big things have gone south since. Coincidentally timed with a report from Williams seeking up to $20 million annually per Mark Stein. Williams representatives and the team discussed an extension before the season that could have reached the low $50 million range over 4 seasons, but could not agree on the guarantee structure. So like people just left out the guarantee structure part and focused on the other part just because it's like you said, it's fun to clown Grant.
Well, it is funny. Like he was flexing his ability to drive closeouts, and now he doesn't know what to do.
It's funny.
Now he gets the ball and he's like, do I do my cool trick now or do I just shoot?
It's funny in hindsight, but like that is a valuable thing to have. Like at the start of the season,
we were pumped. I that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh my God, Grant's driving closeouts. Mm-hmm. And it's all fun and games until he's like, I don't know if I should do this right now or not.
Yep.
Like he's still trying to learn how to utilize it.
Trying to find the balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll turn it around. I think he's fine. I think these last 2 games.
I think it's funny. It's just funny.
As much as he was chucking in the Blazers game, I do think like you're starting to see the confidence come back. And I'm saying in the playoffs, I genuinely think he'll revert back to I catch the 3, I'm shooting the 3. And I think that's what the Celtics need from him. Plus he's a good defender, so you need that too. And he had the big and one against the Blazers. Jam Packard, who sits with us at games, was saying I really wanted Grant Williams to go to the line for 2 free throws, and then like if he made it, I just wanted the crowd to be like cheer as loud as they possibly could if he made a free throw.
Cheer. Yeah.
Grant was getting some boos at GD Garden.
Yeah, I was going to say if he got 2 free throws, they probably would have booed him.
They did boo him. When I tweeted about it, they did a segment where like everyone picked their favorite foods or whatever. Sam Hauser got booed for well done steak. When Grant popped up, you heard a faint like boo, and just like when he came up on the screen before he said anything.
Tough.
Which
did anyone ask him? He definitely didn't have a podium game.
He didn't. No, he didn't.
I would like to hear his thoughts on that. I know the quote came out from him talking to Weiss that was like, if I was happy right now, people would say I didn't like basketball or care about basketball, whatever he said. Mm-hmm. And it's fair. Like, yeah, we would say that. We'd be like, why the hell is this guy happy? He just sold the game or whatever we would say.
Yeah.
It's what we do. But I don't know. The Grant, like, just like down on his luck arc is really funny.
Man, I'm not enjoying as much as you.
I mean, it's only funny because like I think he's gonna get out of it. And it's just like a funny arc. Like,
yeah.
He's really like, does he have an importance to the Celtics? Yes. Is he that important to where it should keep them from winning games? No. So it's like we can all like laugh at it. But like when Tatum's bad, it's like I hate this guy and he sucks.
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you're saying. Last thing before we do our bracket for the pod, Derrick White was so good against the Blazers. He got more minutes than Marcus Smart, and I think a part of that was that Marcus Smart was hurt. I don't know if you saw it, but it looked like there was something wrong with Marcus. Like he got hurt early in the game or something.
It looked like something was wrong. He traveled because he couldn't walk.
Yeah.
Did anyone ask about that?
No.
Nobody asked about that. What are you guys all there for?
That
would have been my first question in the post game. Instead, Mazzulla's like complaining that people are not complaining about layups.
Maybe
what
someone.
What the hell's going on with Smart? The guy could barely walk.
If someone did, I missed it. But I mean, Derrick White though is the point. Stepped up in a big way. He was really good. Adding to the fuel to the fire of like Derrick White should probably be closing games, right? Like, and even when Smart's healthy, I love Smart. I love him.
I think it should just be a subjective thing. It depends on the day.
Exactly. I don't.
You have enough guys where you can be flexible.
As much as at the start of the year, I feel like it was Smart, Tatum, Brown are always going to close games. I think it needs to now be Jalen and Jason are going to close the games. If White is hot, he plays as Smart as hot. Like he's just been that good. That's not a knock on Marcus.
He has
Marcus
been.
Has been great.
Smart's taking a little bit of a step back, which sucks. Like that's my guy. Like I hate seeing him like struggle or not be as effective as he might have been last year or earlier in the season. Whatever he must be dealing with something. I mean, the guy could walk.
Yeah. No,
he literally traveled and turned the ball over because he couldn't stand up.
I think he tweaked something early in the game. I saw it.
I hope he's okay.
Marcus Smart also.
Maybe I'll tweet him.
In practice today, referencing the Fred VanVleet thing, saying I'll let him talk. I need to pull that up. That might be my favorite video in a long time. Fred VanVleet.
I just thought it was kind of funny.
It's so good. Yeah, I'm gonna play it with sound right now. Let me.
Well, there goes our monetization.
Yeah. Can you hear this?
I mean, I don't mind. I'll take a fine.
You hear this?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, let's just listen to Fred VanVleet.
Third quarter there. I mean, I don't mind. I'll take a fine. I don't really care. I thought, Ben Taylor was fucking terrible tonight.
It's not very nice.
On most nights, a couple of the, out of the three, there's one or two that just fuck the game up. And it's been like that a couple games in a row. Denver was tough, obviously. Come out tonight, you're competing pretty hard. The third quarter, I get a bullshit tech, changes the whole dynamic of the game, changes the whole flow of the game. And most of the refs are trying hard. I like a lot of the refs are trying hard. They're pretty fair.
They're trying hard.
And then you got the other ones who just want to be dicks and just kind of fucks the game up. Nobody's coming to see that shit. They come to see the players. And I think we're losing a little bit of the fabric of what the NBA is and was. And it's been disappointing this season. You could look up most of my texts this year have been with Ben Taylor officiating.
Which is true.
At a certain point as a player, you feel it's personal. And it's never a good place to be. That's not why we lost tonight. We got outplayed.
I like that he said
but
that.
It definitely makes it tougher to overcome.
You know what would be really great is if they put his next game with Ben Taylor as the ref on national TV.
Oh, it'd be great. Yeah,
because
it's like
some of these guys love the time. They do love Josh Tiven, not very good looking, likes being on camera. Don't know why. If I was him, might wear a bag on my face. But they some of them really do love the spotlight. So why not? Why not? And you can even like do a graphic with like VanVleet on one side and Ben Taylor on the other side. That would be kind of fire.
Did you look
Tail
up the text though? You said that
No,
it was a thing. Like,
I know it's a thing. He had like 4 of them have been in games where that guy's been the ref.
Oh man. I think that was just an all-time line to me. Like I died laughing when I heard it. It's like I think
well, that was the first thing I saw today because you sent it to me and I woke up this morning and like looked at it. I was like, what
I said Freddie Fire. But the opening line was just like so good. Ben Taylor was fucking terrible.
Yeah. I like that.
It's funny. It's funny. Anyways, I just wanted to shed light on that because I thought it was hilarious. We talked a lot of Celtics today. I thought we had a really good conversation. I was very like in the moment, like you ever have like an out of body experience? Like it wasn't exactly like that, but like I was like listening to what we were talking about back, and I was like you.
Jack had an out of body experience talking threes versus layups. This is like sports.
Like hearing it back, like I was like, oh, we usually talk a lot of shit on this podcast. That was actually like a pretty like intelligent conversation we had. Anyways, we have another bracket.
Of sheer intelligence.
I thought you were gonna say speaking of shit. I thought you were gonna pull up with like something a weird bracket. I was confused where you're going with that, but hit me.
It's
Bracket
coming.
of the
Hold
day.
on.
Sam's internet
Takes
is
a while to
is-
share the screen. Today's bracket. Jack does not
Drum
watch a
roll.
lot of TV, but the TV he does watch, he likes The Office. We are doing
Yeah.
The Office bracket. It
Oh,
has
this
a
is
bunch
great.
of different characters from the show. You know what? I'm going to
That's
shuffle
great.
the seating. Actually, no, I'm not, because there's a matchup on here in the first round that's kind of funny. So I'm going to keep it.
It is funny. My girlfriend Zoe loves The Office. Huge fan. I'm trying to think. Do I still have? I got for Christmas. I think I showed it off on here. I got a what's it called? Advent calendar. You know Funko
Yes.
Pops,
Yes.
like the little characters. There were mini Funko Pops of The Office, and I got one every day for a month. Very
That's
cool.
right.
I got that from Zoe's mom. Anyways, yes, Office bracket. Let's
Office
do this.
bracket. First round matchup. This is a tough one. Not really,
Mhm.
but it's a tough matchup. You know, this is truly a 1 versus somewhat of a 16. You have Michael versus Jan.
Yeah, like it's not close. Come on, like this is a disrespectful conversation to Michael Scott. Put him through. Put him through.
Where the hell's my mouse? There it is.
Sam's struggling.
Michael is through. There you go. Now
Oh.
you have Toby
Oh.
versus Ryan, which is actually kind of funny.
What
I
a
feel like
rat
it's
matchup.
obligatory to bounce Toby in the first round.
You have to, but like,
yeah, you got to bounce.
what a shitty matchup. Next
Everybody
matchup's-
knows you hate Toby.
Yeah, next matchup's also kind of garbage. Looking ahead, but it's got to be Ryan here. You can't have Toby win anything.
Now
Well,
you
I
have
mean, what are we
Angela
doing?
versus Meredith.
I would go with Angela just because there's more like story. Like
It's
Meredith's
true.
fine for what it is, but like the story with Angela, I'll go Angela. I know
Okay.
it's like another like matchup, but
Now you have Oscar versus Holly.
ooh, this is tough because I feel like obviously like people like Holly because of like how everything went. You know, spoiler alert, but if you haven't watched The Office, your own
Well,
fault.
Actually, she ruins the show.
What do you mean?
If you really want
yeah,
to put it in perspective, because she takes Michael off the show.
true. I like Oscar though. I think it's funny.
I think
go with
Oscar is
here.
involved in more funny storylines.
Underrated character, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'll go Oscar.
Oscar.
You're in on Oscar?
Yeah, Oscar, back it. All right, what's next?
All right, now this was the one I kind of thought was funny. Because you have Phyllis versus Bob Vance Refrigeration in the first round.
All right, hear me out. Is it egregious of me to want to pick Bob Vance?
No, I was going to say pick Bob Vance because I think Bob Vance is actually like really funny.
I think
That's one of the best running jokes in the show is the Bob Vance Refrigeration.
Bob Vance Refrigeration. It's got yeah.
Even they get married and they say Bob Vance Refrigeration at the
now,
altar.
is she Phyllis Vance of Vance Refrigeration? I think that would have been a funnier joke. Okay, good. Anyways, okay.
Oh, this is I don't know. I feel like Stanley versus Mose. I think Stanley's a powerhouse. Stanley's one of my favorite characters from The Office.
Yes, I agree. I'll put it this way. You have to go Stanley, but I'm upset Mose is a first round exit because Mose is funny.
Mose is like kind of funny, but like he's like funny in a dumb way.
Mose is like the 2021 Atlanta Hawks. Like it's fun to watch it, but you know this like doesn't really mean much.
And Stanley's very relatable character.
Yeah, it's got to be Stanley. Easy for Pretzel Day at the very least.
And now you have Aaron versus David Wallace.
Oh, what? This is weird.
This is a true 8-9.
It's like because neither are like great, but neither are also like awful. Like I'd probably go Aaron, just because like I feel like there's more in depth story. Like Wallace is fine, but like I'd probably go with Aaron.
Okay, I can live with that. Now you have Andy versus Todd Packer.
It's Andy. Todd Packer's funny for what he does. It's Andy. Andy's
I
love Andy.
actually think Todd Packer's like more annoying than funny.
Yeah. I agree.
I agree with that.
I think what makes like The Office, like the jokes in The Office are great, but like Todd Packer is like throwing them in your face too much, if that makes sense. Like it's just like they're not funny at that point. Like just come on.
I agree with that.
Okay.
They're like two like dumbed down jokes.
Perfect.
Now you're back to Michael Scott versus Ryan. Again, these brackets operate in a very strange way. You got to go Michael. Michael is just a unit.
Oh yeah. This isn't close. This is unspoken.
Angela versus Oscar. This was a rivalry at some point. They fought over the senator. Am I right?
They did.
They
I
did.
believe so. I believe so. I think Oscar. I like Oscar.
Yeah,
I think he's
Oscar
underrated.
won that battle in the show too. Ended up
Yeah.
with the senator.
True.
This is a tough. This was a short run for Bob Vance, I would say.
I wish it was longer, but Stanley clears.
Stanley
Bob
is
Vance
just
for
one of those
consideration.
powerhouse teams.
Yeah, agree.
And then you've got Andy versus Aaron.
Funny matchup. Andy's a goat though. Love Andy. Big Andy guy.
We have to apologize for anyone that has not seen the show
Mhm.
because this is nothing to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you've got Michael versus Oscar.
Funny me
Very
actually,
similar to the Diversity Day episode and also the
Mhm.
the one where he makes him kiss him.
Yeah. Fucked up. Also, doubling back to Andy quick though. Do you remember the scene of Andy and Dwight playing the banjo and the guitar for Angela or for Aaron? Like when Aaron first
not off
shows
the top
up,
of my head.
and
I actually have not watched The Office in a very long time.
Andy plays the banjo for her, but Dwight comes in with, I believe it was a guitar. I hope it was. It was someone an idiot. Comes in with a guitar and they're singing Country Roads. And they start singing. They're trying to battle each other, but by the end of it, they just like are singing in harmony. And Aaron gets weirded out and leaves. There was a meme my friend Hannah in college made of me and my buddy Thomas of us playing the banjos, and then like just like fucking around with everybody because me and him would just like go around and annoy the shit out of other people, and like
That's what
it's
we
the
do
same
now.
vibes. Exactly. Sure.
When we have guests on, like I'm like, hey, Steve Bulpett, you wrote for 10 years.
Oh God, poor Steve.
Poor Steve, poor me.
Yeah, you got.
I look like a big dumb idiot.
Do your research, bozo. All right,
I
Michael
tried.
or,
I was misled.
Michael or Oscar. It's got to be Michael. Michael's a goat.
Michael is a unit.
Oscar's cool, but yeah.
What are your initial thoughts here, Jack? You've got Stanley matched up against Andy.
I am a big fan of Andy. I love
Really?
Stanley. If I had to lean, I would go Andy. But I like.
Oh man,
I know
see,
you're.
I
a
lean
Stanley guy.
Stanley.
This is tough.
I think Stanley is the closest like non-animated character to Squidward. He is essentially Squidward.
Andy's Patrick. It's the
I
same
don't know if
vibes.
he's Patrick.
I think it's the same vibes.
Do you know what's funny is I know somebody in real life that's like Patrick.
Really?
One of the dumbest people you'll ever meet.
Okay. Maybe don't name.
Oh,
let's
I'm not name
drop.
dropping them. Very dumb.
Man, we'll find a way to settle this. Stanley or Andy. I won't fight you on Stanley versus Andy only because I know.
Is
Stanley's
Andy your
gonna
favorite
lose.
character?
He's up there. Absolutely.
All right,
He's
well,
the
it can win. It's
top-
fair.
Well,
You
my
feel
thing is like
strongly?
I'm saying I'm not going to fight you on
Oh,
Stanley
you're just
versus
bringing him to the
Andy.
slaughterhouse anyway. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. So like, pick one. I don't care. At this
We'll
point,
do
like,
Andy because you felt strongly enough to make a difference.
Thank you.
And then
But
goes
Michael,
to the final.
Michael clears.
Powerhouse.
Michael, yeah.
Who the hell's this guy? Who's the other guy? Do we know who? It's Jim and some guy. I don't know
Is
the
this
guy.
one of? Oh God, who is? Is he one of the ones that like shows
He
up?
looks like
to
he has a
work when they
warehouse
merge?
uniform on with a tie.
Oh man,
This
I'm
is
gonna have
really
to find
bad.
it. Well, like, can you read the? Can you look at your screen?
I can't see what his name is. Might be Nate.
Oh yes, Nate. It is Nate.
How many episodes does Nate appear in?
He's in seasons 7, 8, and 9.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, that's when the show
is-
kind of like falls. So
While searching for day laborers, Nate was the only man willing to volunteer to help Dwight out. Dwight, okay, I vaguely remember him. He's like,
I don't.
he's
remember.
Dwight's jockey.
Well,
for a
Jim wins.
while.
Jim's like a
Yeah,
staple
I
of
mean
the
Jim
show, so-
clears.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he was Dwight's personal assistant.
Then you have.
Okay,
Oh my God,
I forget
Kelly.
these dudes' names.
Kelly.
I forget the other dude.
Yeah,
name.
I mean I know her name's Mindy in real life, and then you have young Jim or new Jim.
I forget like new Jim's real name.
Well,
and the other
that's
one.
good. We'll just say Kelly.
It's
for
Kelly.
the hell
It's
of it.
easy, Kelly.
Now you've got Daryl and what is her name? Joan.
Joe. Isn't it
Joe.
It's Daryl though. Like the reason we
the
don't
Doug
remember
Mifflin
half of these
song.
people's names is because
They're
like
not
no
good.
shit.
You got Kevin
forget-
versus Robert California.
I forgot about Robert California. I've been watching The Blacklist lately, so I just know him as like I know
Yeah,
James
he's in
Spader, so
that.
he's
Yeah.
fire. It's Kevin though. I mean,
Oh yeah.
the reason
Kevin-
we struggle with names is because these characters are so like D tier, C tier.
This is an interesting matchup. It's perhaps a
is.
strategic bracket building
It
between
is.
Karen and Roy.
Uh-huh. Now, obviously, fuck Roy, right? Roy's a rat. However, Roy was involved in some pretty interesting story arcs.
Go on.
Like punching Jim, Dwight with the spray. Like obviously he's like getting the bad end of these. I look at the
He
one
was a
on
great
like
foil.
exactly. I look at the one of when he and Pam and Jim and the girl selling bags, I don't fucking remember her name.
Amy
we're
Adams.
on the Amy Adams, yes. We're on the cruise and like
Yes.
Roy and the girl, the cheerleader, like hitting on each other. Like funny story, funny episode. Roy was funny in that. You can't like Roy, but like you can like the storylines he's a part of.
Yeah, okay.
Meanwhile,
strong contribution from Roy.
other persons, I'm blanking on her name.
Rashida
Karen.
Jones.
Karen's fine. Pretty boring, in my opinion.
I can get behind that. I can see how she's boring. I think Roy
I understand
adds
the purpose. I don't want to advance Roy, but like he added more to the like as Fred VanVleet said about the refs, the fabric of the game. Roy added more to the fabric of the game than Karen did.
Now you have Pam versus what is his name? Wade?
Fuck. No. Shit. I know
This is really bad.
No, it's on the tip of my tongue too.
Is it Owen?
Gabe. It's Gabe.
What did I say?
Fuck
Wade?
Gabe.
I was close.
Hot take, I might hate Gabe more than Pam.
Kind of out on Gabe. I thought Gabe was annoying.
Gabe's rat. Pam clears, not even close.
Pam's like sneaky rat though.
I
don't know. Pam's like a rat. Pam is very much a rat.
How?
Pam's like screwing around on Roy, whether Roy's good or not. And then in the last season, she's like interested, loves the attention from the camera guy. Pam loves attention.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of the attention.
I see.
Semi-rat.
Rat, close to the rat list. She's on the sub list. Anyways.
You have Creed versus a guy from Hot Tub Time Machine.
Shit, I like him and New Jim.
Yeah,
shitty and useless. Creed,
Creed,
not even close.
And you have Dwight. I don't know who she is.
No, I remember
She's
she was
gone.
like when they like went to merge with Joe's company. She was like helping him, and I don't know. Dwight,
the later seasons of The Office not very good. A lot of forgettable characters.
Went downhill. It's like went downhill. Anyways,
you've got Jim versus Kelly.
Kelly's funny, but
Kelly I kind of thought was really annoying.
Sure,
in the show.
I guess.
Even though that was kind of the character.
It was the
bit
annoying. Yeah, it's Jim though. Not close.
Yep. Then you've got Daryl versus Kevin. Same background, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough one.
Which way do you lean?
Wow, this is a really tough one. I lean Daryl.
Really?
This is my thought process. Daryl's a more. This is like it's so fucking weird to be like analyzing this in depth. Daryl's more like dynamic. Like Kevin's funny. He serves his purpose, but like think of the story arc.
One trick pony.
Yeah, and think of the story arc of Daryl. Like he was just he was a one trick pony at the start too, right? He was the guy in the warehouse. He cracked some jokes, built his way up. Bigger part of the show. Was a manager.
Corporate chill.
Sure. Did the company with Jim though. I think he brought more to the table. Kevin was funny, and
Kevin does provide one of the most iconic moments in the series when he drops the chili.
It was goated. Fuck, you make a good point.
You're right. Very tough.
Yeah. You're right. This is my thing. I think Daryl is the better character, but Kevin is better at what he does.
You got to think Kevin's a one-trick pony. He's really, really good at being that one-trick pony.
He's like, this is like, I'm trying to make it basketball.
Kevin's just like sitting in the corner shooting threes. He's just shooting 50%.
Yeah, Daryl's like a Dorian Finney-Smith, and Kevin is like Bubble Duncan Robinson. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Oh.
Roy versus Pam.
Oh man, I think it has to be Pam. I would lean Pam.
Yeah, all right.
just because like
Pam has a more prominent role, main character in the series.
Like,
Semi-rat, but what are you going to do?
I can take Roy over Karen because Karen just kind of bored me, but like Pam's like a integral part of the show.
And now you have Dwight versus Creed. Dwight,
Very
an iconic character.
Very unfortunate that Creed has to lose, but
a lot of people big fans of Creed. I thought Creed was fine.
I thought Creed was cool, but Creed, Scranton Strangler is the theory.
Now you have Toby, Jim versus Kevin.
Toby was actually. Again, Kevin's cool at what he does. I almost had him lose to Daryl. Jim clears.
Yeah, Jim's one of my favorite characters.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Pam versus Dwight.
Not close. Dwight. Not
Dwight.
Close. Not close.
You know what's like kind of funny about this is like I feel like everyone's is about the same. The final four is about the same. You have Jim, Dwight on the finals of this bracket.
Who was Michael going up against the other side? Andy? It was Andy or Stanley, which is fair.
Yeah.
Jim, Dwight. Do you feel strongly either way? I have an opinion, but I'm curious.
I like Jim better.
I like Dwight better.
Really?
I did. Yeah, I think.
See, I think. Well, I don't know. They kind of are a team, really. They make each other. They probably bring the best out of each other's characters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got the last one, so you can have Dwight if you want.
Did you have the last one? I thought
oh no, you got the last one. So Jim's going through.
Fuck. Okay. Sure.
And now you have Michael versus Jim. It was gonna be Michael if you didn't have it. You didn't really care for Jim.
Well, my thing is,
Dwight your favorite character?
Yeah, I would have had Dwight
really.
All. Yeah, I think I would have had Dwight.
Oh, you should have put up a better fight. I would have let him go through.
Well, shit. I think I would still lean Jim over Michael though, and I love Michael, but
really,
I think so. And it's weird because I think Michael has more funny moments, but I think Jim creates a lot of those funny moments, if that makes sense. Like he'll like antagonize.
Well, you just got to think of it like this: when Michael leaves the show, it kind of goes downhill.
It does, but like if Jim left the show, I don't think it would be the same either. He just didn't.
It wouldn't be the same. I don't know. This is a tough one.
I think my top three is probably Dwight, Jim, Michael. If I had to like go like without the bracket,
it's fair.
I won't fight you though. Yeah. Like I said, I think Dwight would win.
Jim wins.
It's very close. All three goated characters, right? This isn't like a big drop off. This is like the powerhouses, right? Like all three very good characters. Office the GOAT show? Is it up there? Is it one of the GOATs?
It's up there. It's not the GOAT.
What's the GOAT?
There's Seinfeld. I like Seinfeld better.
I think The Blacklist. I mean, I'm watching it now, but like even before that.
Oh,
I think it's the best.
I don't think it's fair to compare shows to like
genres.
Different genres.
Okay, sure. I think The Office is the GOAT of its genre. Then I haven't watched Seinfeld, so I guess it's not.
Seinfeld's
fair to judge,
fantastic. Curb's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The Office is probably up there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good shows.
Imagine thinking The British Office is better. I haven't even watched it. I watched like the first episode.
Just different humor, different culture.
Well, they copied the first.
Yeah, they did.
Episodes, right? Diversity Day was the first one that was like
different,
just theirs. Yeah, Zoe likes to listen to Pam and Jenna Fisher and Angela. I can't remember her last name. Have a podcast and it's good.
Yes.
They like go through it. It's a good podcast. It's fun.
Anyways, Sunny is up there.
Haven't seen it either. I don't watch a ton of TV. I'll obviously watch.
Jack doesn't watch TV.
I'm watching The Blacklist right now. It's good.
Well, you really don't watch movies.
I don't.
It's tough.
Anyways,
I find myself without a lot of time for TV.
I mean, it's weird. I say the same thing about movies. I'd rather sit down.
I mean, I don't have time for any of it.
Oh yeah.
I'm watching more TV than I am movies.
I do it while I work, but anyways,
go to the movies tonight.
There you go. Movies are fun.
I'm real hungry. Maybe I'll just take some years off my life with it.
I have a turkey club with fries in the first for this. Very happy, very excited.
All right.
So in that case, we're gonna wrap up now. So
we'll wrap it up.
Thank y'all for listening. We appreciate it. My one plug is always, as I realize we've left our names on the whole time when we didn't need to.
Did we?
Disaster.
I don't think we did.
Maybe we put it on halfway through.
Well, we just really want you to follow us.
Yeah. Again, Twitter's below our faces. Jackson want to be, Samuel France to be. But my two plugs now, I guess it is. Subscribe to YouTube. How about them Celtics? We're inching closer to 300. We appreciate it. And if you're on Spotify, click the 3 dots, leave us a 5-star rating. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a rating as well. Leave us a rating wherever you are. Follow the show, like the show on podcast platforms, subscribe on YouTube. And as always, I will throw it to Sam.
All right. Hey, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, you're watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 300, 4 away the last time I checked. Go watch the last podcast because not a lot of you rats did. We don't appreciate that, but we do appreciate the continued support because before that one, we were kind of on a heater.
Yeah, we were. Get us back
Yeah.
up there. Come on.
Yeah, get us
Help
back
out.
on the
What
heater.
are we doing?
Like the podcasts, right? If you're not on YouTube, you're listening, like Jazz said, leave us a nice review. If you're not going to leave a nice one, just make fun of us in the YouTube comments or whatever.
Yes.
No need to go to the other apps. But aside from that, if you're on social media, we are too. You can follow us at How About Them C's, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is the name of the podcast. You can get all our pregame streams there, as well as the YouTube, a half hour before every game. Have a good crew in those chats. Always a good time. And with that, you can follow Jack at Jack1NBA on Twitter. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.